Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. On the show with me for the next hour, in between his pitches for Bang and White Claw sponsorships, our single entry assassin, Josh Harris. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get those. I'm also trying to get some Joe T. This stuff is out of control. So if you ever had this, I think it's an East Coast thing, but man, it is good stuff. Joe T. Get at me.
Woo! Like where would you rank the Joe T and Arizona iced tea? Because I don't have Joe T up here. I've never heard of it. Like, where would you rank it with Arizona iced tea?
Well, Arizona iced tea, you get that big can for 99 cents.
I mean, you can't beat that.
This is like $2.49, but it actually tastes like iced tea. It doesn't taste like you're
like
gonna
a can of sugar.
Melt.
Okay. Big fan of that 99-cent Arizona iced tea. Always good for mixing your alcoholic beverages.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a little bit of body toddy in there, can't beat it. We're not here to talk alcoholic beverages, though. We're here to talk some DFS. Let's take a look at last night's slate real quick. I don't know how you did. I got about 3/4 of my entries back, so not a great night. Had one decent lineup, ran Florida 2, St. Louis 3, and I got a Blake Coleman one off, Jacob Markstrom with a good game in net. So that was my one big lineup that actually did reasonably well. How'd you do?
I got about 50% back. Tarasenko kind of saved my night. It was looking pretty bad there. I used Igor, man. That last goal with like 3 seconds left, it was just a backbreaker.
But and it was kind of a I don't want to say like a weird slate, because I think what we kind of expected to happen happened, right? Florida put up 5 on Arizona. That was kind of expected. St. Louis put up a 3-banger on Los Angeles. That was kind of expected. They ran that game there. Dallas and Columbus played, a slow, lumbering game back and forth. But a couple hat tricks last night. One to the Drake Batherson, the other to TJ Oshie. It's Batherson I want to talk about first, because you and Jake were on the show yesterday and you were talking about Ottawa, and I was with you on Ottawa too as well. And obviously they didn't do super hot. Ottawa top line did great. And that's something that goes back to last year, because Norris, Tkachuk, and Batherson were put together for like the last 9 or 10 games at the end of last season, and they were great. And the first few games since Brady Tkachuk's return from his contract dispute, he's looked great as well.
Yeah, I think people kind of stay off that line or full stacking that line because Norris was like 5,300. People, I don't know, people just don't like paying for Norris, but they love paying for Chandler Stevenson. Like, I don't know, like I would rather pay for Norris. So that line going forward is definitely going to be something I'm looking at. Brady Tkachuk is always owned. He's kind of like, I don't know who to compare him to, but he's always the highest owned of that line. I think, going forward, full stacking that line is the play. That second line was good too. I mean, they just didn't have great results, but their power play correlation's kind of wonky.
Yeah, I mean, just to like, Ottawa wasn't high owned like the top line as a stack last night. I'm just looking through the 20 max. Brady Tkachuk was about 4%, and then Norris and Batherson were between 2 and 3%. So yeah, you're right. Those guys always come in a lot lower than Tkachuk. Tkachuk always puts up a big shot volume. Want to talk about Ville Husso, because he's a guy. He's a guy that we always talk about as kind of like a punching bag, and I still don't think he's a very good goalie, but I think last night illustrates perfectly why we don't just pigeonhole and say, yeah, go ahead, load up with 8,500 Spencer Knight, get your 15 points and get away or whatever, because that's not really how it works out in real life with goaltending, because it is one of the most volatile positions in all of sports.
Yeah, and man, I'm not a fan of either of the Blues goaltenders, so I didn't have any. I like the Kings. Sean Walker in my lineup, that hurt because he hurt his knee. But yeah, Ville Husso shutting out the Kings. My Kings. Man, you needed him to win GPPs. I mean, there were some good goalie performances last night. Merzlikins almost had a shutout. Markstrom almost had a shutout. But Husso, late night hammer shutout of the Kings, man. He was probably low owned too. Yeah,
he wasn't very high on when I looked. 6% in the 20 max.
Yeah, 6%. He was expensive too. So like expensive Ville Husso.
Yeah, 8,200 Ville Husso. Absolute nuts last night. Crazy life. We had some people do decently well last night. I think I saw a top 5 in the 20 max, the $1 20 max, I believe. I think Robbie had a good NFL showdown night, and that's kind of the nice thing about our Discord. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we talk a lot of hockey in there, but it's not just hockey. We're helping each other out, with NFL lineups. I mean, I've had people ask me about esports. I know people ask you about MMA. We're in there to help each other out. Most of the time it's about hockey, but it is about a lot of other stuff. It's really just a community, just all kind of pulling in the same direction. If you want to start scratching the surface of that community, why don't you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I noticed we have nearly 100 people watching and only 13 likes, and one of those likes is myself, so only 12. So if we could get everybody click that thumbs up and then click the subscription button. Subscriptions really help grow this channel and keep those NFL, those NBA, those PGA and college basketball shows coming at you on a regular basis. Looking ahead to tonight, we got a 7-game slate. One thing I noticed, obviously there's one super high total, Colorado starting to border on 3.5 implied goals. Everybody else is at 3.1 or less. So that kind of tells me that while we have, while there is an obvious spot, it tells me that we could see some spread out ownership, and that generally means good things when you have, our top stacks tool and our ownership tool to help guide you.
Yeah, and when I was looking last night, kind of tilted about, David Perron not giving Tarasenko the hat trick empty net. I was looking at Slate, I was like, woo, this is ugly outside of Colorado. But there are some actually spots that I do like. I got comfortable with this morning. Yeah, it's good because, it's weird. Tampa Bay road total 3 on the road doesn't feel great to me. Preds 3.1 at home against the Sharks feels high to me. There's spots that just probably going to get some ownership that just don't feel right. I don't know. These totals feel a little bit off. So there's going to be ownership all over the place besides, Colorado. There's going to be a good bunch of ownership there. So this is a GPP paradise tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm looking at it too. I was writing up my power plays article, and that should be on the site here soon. It looks like there's going to be one pretty heavy leverage spot, and I wrote about that in my power plays article. I wanted to highlight it. It's in Seattle, and we'll get to that at the end of the slate. Other than that, there's really nothing that sticks out as poorly leveraged. So it's one of those nights really where if you like a line and everything fits, pretty much go with it, because I don't think you have to play this line or you have to play that line, or there's no, extreme value play that you have to sneak in. Like I said, other than that, maybe that one Seattle line, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but we should get to these games anyway. So let's get to that first one. We have the Calgary Flames with a 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into New Jersey. The Devils have a 3.0 implied goal total. Calgary just played last night, laid the wood to your Rangers. Listen, I'm going to say this about Calgary real quick, and it's something, we've talked about before, and I've written about it at Dobra Hockey. Since Daryl Sutter was hired, this has looked like a completely different team.
Sutter, that was it. I called him the Muppet yesterday. I forgot his name.
Okay, I missed that part. The Muppet works, but yeah, Daryl Sutter. I know people want to say maybe the game passed him or whatever, but if you look at Los Angeles's advanced numbers from when he was there and got fired, I think in 2017, to after he left, they just cratered, and it was an immediate impact. So obviously he has a good coaching impact. And if you look at Calgary's numbers going back to when he was hired last year, I'm going to go back to the beginning of March. They're a top 5 or top 6 team in scoring chance differential in the league. And this year, it's only 4 or 5 games for them, but they're at the top of the league again. This looks like a good team to me, a really good team. And I know it's back-to-back on the road, and New Jersey themselves have looked pretty good this year as well. But New Jersey, no Jack Hughes, goaltending still kind of a question. I'm kind of liking that 2.9 on the road from Calgary. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, you know who the Flames could use? Sam Bennett. I can't believe he's killing it in Florida. He was on the 4th line in Calgary last year at this time. It's just crazy. But yeah, no, I do like the Flames top line here tonight. They're going to be under-owned because they're expensive. They're back-to-back on the road. But there aren't many spots where I want to play this line, I want to play this line. So I honestly think you can go back to Calgary 1 here. Nico Dawes probably in net for the Devils. I didn't know who that was until someone mentioned it this morning, that he was probable to start. But like as you said, Billy Husso shutout last night. You can't just dismiss him because you don't know who he is. But at 2-3% going into New Jersey, like it's not a long trip from the Garden to Newark. Like you can like walk pretty much. So it's not like they have lots of travel issues. They're professional athletes. It's early in the season. You don't have to worry about fatigue. It's not, February. So I think they'll be pretty fresh tonight. The top line fully correlates on the power play. They are expensive. I doubt you can fit them with Colorado. So they'll be contrarian. That second line, Coleman had a great game last night. Backlund had a great game, and there's 6,600 for the two-man. And I think that is a two-man that you can definitely look at putting in if you're trying to power play stack the Avs or getting in another expensive spot. So, yeah, I mean, I like the Flames here, back-to-back on the road. On the Devil side, don't mind the Zacha Mercer Tatar line. I think the Heischer line, or are they sending out the Heischer line against Kachuk Lindholm, right? My line matching is frozen per usual.
I mean, my line matching right now has the Zaka line going out against the Lindholm line.
So let's back it up a second here. I like the Heischer line a little bit here. The power play correlation isn't great. It's a 3 total at home. Their ownership's like 4 or 5%. I'm just not super high on the Devils right now. I really was waiting for the Jack Hughes breakout season, and it was coming until he got hurt. So I'm kind of lukewarm on the Devils for now. They're kind of, treading water until Hughes comes back. There are pieces that I like. I mean, Heischer power play 1 is nice. You can put him in with, Tatar, 2 men for the power play. I don't know, if I would full stack the Devils tonight. Your power play lines are a bit weird at even strength. So, Calgary 1, a little bit of Calgary 2. I'll mix and match in some Devils, but I don't think I'm going to full stack anything.
Yeah, one thing I will mention about New Jersey, not very much ownership on them. We have all their lines coming in under 5%, and like I'm just going to be upfront. Looking at the goal totals on today's slate, they have the 3rd highest home implied goal total, tied for the 3rd highest on the slate overall. Like, if we're going to get 3 goals from them, and these guys are all going to come in under 5%, I'm interested in them. But Jack Hughes, that loss is a big loss. Like, I was looking at their numbers from last year. When Jack Hughes was on the ice, their offensive impact went up 7%, so 7% better shot quality. And when he's off the ice, it goes down 7%. Like, that's a pretty big gap. Like, a 14% change in shot quality for one player is a lot. And that's what worries me about New Jersey. So, like, I'm not 3-man stacking any other lines. I'm kind of sticking with what you were thinking is like maybe a 2-man like Zaka Mercer or Zaka Tatar or, something along those lines. That's where I'm going to be going here. Calgary has just been like way too good this year. Like I said, one of the top teams in scoring chance differential. I like Calgary 1 again. Their prices come down a bit. Still over 20K, but it's still reasonable. I want to mention Calgary 1 didn't play a ton last night, and we saw Edmonton do that with Connor McDavid long ago. Now, I think Edmonton was playing Arizona and not the New York Rangers, so I don't know what was going on there, but the Calgary's top guys only skated like 16 minutes or something like last night.
Rangers looked awful last night. If Fox is not having a great game and Igor is not completely locked in, they're going to get run over until, they address some of their needs.
Yeah, so I like Calgary 1 again here tonight, and I look at their ownership. They're one of the better leverage spots on the night. We have them as 15% top 2 stack, coming in at 7.5% ownership. I just don't see any reason not to use them. Their numbers have been great going back years. Like Johnny Gaudreau, if you look at his numbers, his career numbers playing with Matt Tkachuk, like they're just incredible. By far, he's been better with Tkachuk than any other winger in Calgary. He just hasn't had a lot of time to play with him. So I'm really excited about that line combination. I don't even mind going down to Calgary too. Like you said, with New Jersey, their power play correlation is great. Calgary 2 doesn't have any power play correlation, but they're all super cheap. Coleman and Backlund, very good 2-way players, should mix well together. I don't see them having any problem with any of the matchups from New Jersey. So I like both Calgary 1 and Calgary 2 in this game last night, or in this game here tonight. On the blue line, I don't know if there's anybody that really sticks out. I mean, Noah Hannafin, 3,100 for sure. I know Damon Severson had been getting some secondary power play minutes, but like secondary power play minutes at almost 4K for New Jersey, that, you know, if he was 3K, that's one thing. 4K, you know, 3,900, that's a bit much. So I don't know. Maybe Ty Smith, maybe Noah Hannafin. Anything else stick out to you?
Yeah, not really. I mean, Ty Smith is 2,600 on DraftKings, so you know that's a pretty good price. Hannafin 3,100 is good, but there's some others in that range that I prefer. I mean, I'm not super in love with anyone on the blue line in this game.
Yeah, I'll just say I like those two guys. Relatively cheap. Don't mind using either of them. We're probably going to have Vladar and, like you said, Nico Dawes in net. 7,400 Dawes at home. Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, these cheap goalies, you're going to see volume. Always got to consider. I don't know anything about Nico Dawes, but he's currently projected 11%. So he seems like he's going to be a popular pick because teams or players like using goalies facing teams back to back on the road. So especially cheap ones at home.
Yeah, and should mention Calgary, one of the biggest shot volume teams early on in the season so far. So yeah, maybe Nico Dawes at 11% is justified. All right, let's get to this next game. Tampa Bay Lightning, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Pittsburgh. The Penguins have a 2.6 implied goal total. This game, the under got steamed hard on this game, if I'm not mistaken, because this opened at 3.3 and 2.9, and it's down to 3.0 and 2.6. So a half goal got steamed off this. Tampa Bay hasn't looked very good this year, but I think part of them not looking good is that they're also shooting under 5% as a collective, as a team. It's like Toronto, right? Toronto's not going to keep shooting 3% as a team, just like Tampa's not going to keep shooting 5% as a team. I'll let you explain that one. So like they are going to turn it around, but even without Crosby and without Rust and all those guys, Pittsburgh has looked great defensively. I thought Evan Rodriguez has looked wonderful at both ends of the ice, defensively especially, regardless of who he's been up against. Pittsburgh's not going to get any of those guys back tonight, so we're assuming relatively the same line combinations for them. All right, Tampa Bay has a 3 total on the road, but it looks like a tough matchup, at least what's happened so far this year. So what do you like out of this game, Josh?
Yeah, are the Sabres actually good?
I don't know, man. Like their numbers have taken a hit the last couple of games, but they're still top 5, like by some defensive metrics. So I don't know. Maybe we'll give it 5 more games.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, anytime you can get it, so they have a 3 total on the road. Tampa 1 coming in around 4 or 5%. I guess you got to consider it just because there aren't many great spots tonight. So I would put them in your mix. They are going to get that Evan Rodriguez line, they've been good defensively. Jake says, yeah, Buffalo's good. Go get your hair done. We'll continue talking. But I don't know. Like I used Stamkos last night and he was a big disappointment. But I think you can go back to the well here. There's a lot of back-to-backs tonight. So they're not fully correlated on the power play, but Tampa is one of those lines that can just go off at any time. So I think they can be in your MME mix. If you want to use Pittsburgh 1, I think that's fine. The ownership's a bit high for my taste. I mean, their price is pretty good. Oh, they're going to get the Bluger line, Jake said. I don't know. Okay, if that's the case, Bluger is good defensively, but I still think you can have Tampa 1 in your mix. Tristan Yari due for a clunker. But the line that I really like in this game actually is Pittsburgh third line, Zucker, O'Connor, Heinen. They're super cheap. They're going to get the depth of the Lightning, and there's just nothing there. Like the third line of Pat Maroon, Ross Colton, Corey Perry, or, you know, there's some guy named Boris Kachuk on the fourth line. That can't be a real name. Like
no, it's Boris Kachuk.
Kachuk. Yeah, so it's even more made up. So no, but I like this third line. They're all under 4K. O'Connor, Heinen getting power play 2, Zucker power play 1. They're coming in 3-4%, which is a bit high for a third line, but it allows you to fit in the Colorados. Heinen is one of my favorite players. I just wish he would get a consistent top 6 run, but I guess we'll wait for that. But I do like that third line tonight. So Tampa 1, Tampa power play. I'll have a little bit of Pitt 1. The ownership is a bit concerning for me, but Pitt 3 is my favorite line tonight.
Yeah, the one thing that concerns me about Tampa here is Pittsburgh and the penalty kill and their penalties. Like they're not taking a lot of penalties this year. I think they're about middle of the pack. And last year they were a bottom 10 team by penalties taken. And these things, for the most part, can carry over year to year because you are carrying over largely the same roster year to year. So, like if Tampa's playing most of this game at 5-on-5 and they only get a couple power plays, like I don't really love that. And I looked at our latest top stacks run. It's just an hour ago, actually. And you were right about Tampa coming in super low owned. And that's pretty much the only reason I really want to play them here tonight. Like I don't have them. I have them as a decent value on the road. I have them as like my fifth best value as a line, but that like fifth best value on the road on a 7-game slate, that's not like super high priority for me. So where they're coming in at 5%, like it's one of those lines, like if I was single entry or 3 maxing, it's absolutely one of the lines that I would consider. 20 max, 150, whatever you're playing, I would absolutely get them in. It's just not a line where I would either fade or come in. Like you like to say either fade or go in over. I think I would probably like to come in over here. Like I want 10 to 15% of this line if they're coming in at 5%, because there are, like you said, they aren't perfectly correlated. So there are a lot of different combinations that could reasonably go off here. And I want to give myself a bunch of kicks at that can. And Tampa won, like we can talk about how maybe Tampa hasn't looked great or all that. They're playing at a ludicrously high pace, 75 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Like that's like a slow paced power play, honestly. Like this is still a very high powered line with 3 tremendously talented offensive players. So I do like Tampa Bay one. I just won't be as exposed to them as I will like Colorado or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm with you there. I do like that Pittsburgh 3 call. They have looked good this year. Drew O'Connor, I was actually looking up his numbers earlier today. He came out of college, but he was almost a point per game in the AHL last year. So, you know, if he's decent offensively, it's not like it would just come out of absolutely nowhere. So I do like that call as well. All right. On the blue line, Victor Hedman, 7,900. I think that's one of the most unplayable prices I've ever seen. But at the same time, Tampa 1 is priced down a little bit. So it's not, you know, Stamkos 7,800 isn't Kucherov 8,500, and Braden Point at 6,400 is probably 1,500 cheaper than he was last year. So that's where your savings are coming from. I do think it's really, really hard to play Hedman as a one-off, though.
Yeah, that price is a bit crazy. I would, if you're, you know, using Fantasy Cruncher in your MME, I'd make a rule to just include Hedman in only like Tampa 1 stacks or power play stacks. If you want to do like, you know, to get a little discount, you can throw Killorn in there with Point and Hedman or something like that. I think that's fine. But, you know, Stamkos 7,800, people are saying that's a crazy high price. But since Kucherov went out, his minutes are over 20 a night easily. So, you know, Hedman 7,900. Again, I would only include him in Tampa stacks. I'm looking towards, you know, Ryan McDonough, Eric Chernak as one-offs there. Chernak's shot rate this season has been surprisingly high. So for 3,600, I think that's fine. On the Pittsburgh side, if you want to put Marino in there with PowerPoint 1 stacks, it's fine. I also like Mike Matheson, 3,300, and Marcus Pettersson min priced.
Right back to the Mike Matheson well, eh? He had a big game the last time out. Let's see if he can do it again. Andre Vasilevsky's 8,200 on the road. Tristan Jarry's 7,200 at home. Either of those appeal to you?
I mean, you know, it's weird that Jarry's 7,200 at home. So you kind of have to consider him just because that price, and I don't know. That's all the positive things I can say about Yari. It's
the price. Yeah. Maybe if you're correlating some Pittsburgh stack or something like that, but yeah, I'm with you. I would honestly, I'd rather play Nico Dawes at home versus Calgary than Tristan Jarry.
Bowman out as Blackhawks GM.
Who?
Stan Bowman.
He's out?
That's what someone in chat just said.
Stan Bowman has stepped aside as GM at Blackhawks. All right. Well, we'll see what goes on there, but we got some more DFS.
Peter Chiarelli.
Oh, it's going to be somebody like that, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy NHL this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 month of free Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. You can also claim a free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our premium DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. And one of the best parts about playing over there, 12% management fees. That's honestly the 15-16% stuff. It really does make a big difference once you get to the end of the season and you're playing thousands or tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a few months. So 12% management fees, really can't beat that. First time Yahoo Fantasy users, check out the limited time offer in the description below. All right, let's move it along. Next game, Vegas, 2.6 implied goal total going into Colorado. The Avs, 3.4 implied goal total. There's obviously a lot of injury news in this one. Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone, and Alex Tuch remain out for the Vegas Golden Knights. Nolan Patrick, I haven't seen anything on him yet for an update. On the Colorado side, Valery Nichushkin still on the injured reserve. Devin Taves still on the injured reserve. Looks like Sam Girard may be out, is probably out here for tonight. Girard and Taves out means Cale Makar PP1 and probably Bowen Byram PP2 and a lot of more minutes for Bowen Byram as well. All right, we picked on Colorado a few nights ago. I think it was when Edmonton was in town. Worked out well for us. Are we going to be picked on Vegas? Sorry, are we going to be picking on Vegas again here tonight?
Yes.
Good.
Alec Martinez is still out too, right?
Day to day. I'll go check on that right now.
I think he's out. That's a big loss for them too. I mean, listen, this is a Colorado one night. There's nothing else to say. We talked about it the other night that you mentioned it. I'll give you the credit that Vegas defensive numbers have not been great since the middle of last year. No Stone, no Pacioretty means the McKinnon line is going to get the Carlson line, which I think is one of the more overrated lines in DFS. They're a good line, don't get me wrong, but they're always over-owned in not the best spots just because of their price. Colorado won, not really going out on a limb here, but they are my favorite line of the night. They are coming in over 22, 23, 24%, but I think there are plenty of ways to get different tonight with low-owned spots. I wouldn't worry about, getting duped here. Fully correlated power play one. There's no Alec Martinez tonight. That penalty kill is a bit rough. So big on Colorado one. You want to go to Colorado two, that's fine. Their ownership concerns me a little bit. 12, 13%. I'm not sure I want to pay, that price for that ownership, but I'm not going to talk you off of it. On the Vegas side, I'm out on Vegas one. Carlson getting the McKinnon matchup's not something I want to do. Chandler Stevenson is egregiously overpriced, almost like Hedman. I mean, his wingers are both min price. So if you need like a min price, Peyton Krebs or Matthias Janmark, okay, I guess. But I'm really, for the most part, outside of maybe a Pietrangelo one-off or a Shea Theodore one-off, or, like a Braden McNabb, but he's over 4K. So really for me in Vegas, it's going to be like a Pietrangelo one-off, but that's even still tough to do. He's 7,100, Theodore 6,300. So I might just be out altogether on Vegas tonight.
Yeah, Vegas, we've talked about it a lot, how much they've slid. I was looking earlier today, 28th in the NHL in expected goals against over their last 35 regular season games. This isn't a small sample. We're talking nearly half a season now of literally bottom five defense in the league. The only reason they got saved last year, I think, is because Marc-Andre Fleury just stood on his head for a couple months. In that span, and this is why, I try to tell people to trust the numbers and not look at the names so much. In that span, they have the same goals against as Ottawa. So if this was Ottawa going into Colorado, what would the ownership on Colorado be tonight, right? If it wasn't the Vegas Golden Knights, if it was the Ottawa Senators, Like McKinnon would be 50%. You know what I mean? So that try to strip away the names and look at the numbers. And the numbers, at least at 5-on-5, Vegas and Ottawa just haven't been different from each other. So I love the entire Colorado top six. I'm with you. I think the second line is probably overowned. So I'm going to focus more on the top line, but I have no problem with either of those. I don't even hate dumping down to the third line because we say it all the time that a high-owned team, sometimes you want to get down to the third line even, especially on, it's not a small slate today, but it's on the smaller side. Get down to the third line, maybe get some of those secondary power play guys taking on the depth of Vegas, because that depth of Vegas, like I forgot Zach Whitecloud's out too. Like Zach Whitecloud is arguably their best pure defensive defenseman. Like these are some very big losses for Vegas. So back in on Colorado 1 big time. Colorado 2, don't mind them. I don't know if I'm going to have as much as them. On the Vegas side, I'm out on Vegas 1. Vegas 2, like I agree with you. They are probably overrated. At the same time, it's one of the few times where they actually come in at a reasonable ownership. You know what I mean? So, people want to use Vegas 2, not opposed there. I might try to get in a share or two as well. On the blue line, you talked about some of the guys that are of interest. I want to get to a question that we had in chat. What about playing both Makar and Byram in the same lineup? I know you guys talked yesterday a little bit about not playing double defensemen, and it's not something I do a lot either. But if Byram's going to play like 21 or 22 minutes because of all the injuries, and Colorado has the highest implied goal total on the whole slate, and it's only 7 games, it doesn't feel like a terrible idea to me.
Yeah, no, it's not that bad of an idea. Like I usually do it when Vegas is fully healthy with like Alec Martinez and Shea Theodore, or Shea Theodore and Pietrangelo and Martinez, et cetera, et cetera. Bowen Byram, 3,200 top pair. He's going to get over 20 minutes with Makar. Gets power play too. In GPPs, I think that's perfectly acceptable, especially at Byram's price. So yeah, he's going to be way lower owned than Makar, so makes some sense.
Yeah, exactly. Either of the goalies tickle your fancy here tonight?
I find it hard to pay $8,500 for a goalie, especially with, I'd rather get a cheap shot volume. Like, so Robin Lehner, 6,900 is a nice price, but if you're, for whatever reason, you're MMEing and you in some of your non-Avs lineups, I think you can have a little bit of Leonard just on the chance that he sees, like 47 shots and only allows 2 or 3 goals. So for that price, you got to take a couple stabs in GPPs, I think.
Yep. All right, let's move along. We got our next game to get to. We have the San Jose Sharks, a 2.9 implied goal total going into Nashville, and the Predators have a 3.1 implied goal total. One thing I want to mention here is the lineup. I didn't see a skate from Nashville today. The second half of their last game, they went back to their regular lineup, which was Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene on the top line, and then Luke Cunnin, Michael Granlund, Eeli Tolvanen on the second line. We just don't know exactly what the lineup's going to be because I didn't see a morning skate from them today. And it's a later start. Maybe you can late swap because there are later games even after that. But I'm working under the assumption that Forsberg, Johansson, Duchene are the top line, and they're probably going to go out against the Couture line. That's the way I'm operating out of this game. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I'm operating the same way. If you're like itching to play Luke Cunnin, not sure why you'd be, but build with Forsberg, you can late swap, upgrade a defenseman, something like that. But man, has the Couture-Meyer line look good this year so far. I mean, it's pretty easy to look good against the Leafs, but, don't get me wrong. No, but listen, Jonathan Dahlen ain't no slouch, man. His numbers last year in Sweden were crazy. Fully correlated power play 1, Couture only 5,500. They're coming in, 4% on the road. They're not on a back-to-back. They're fresh. Predators, not exactly world beaters, especially on the penalty kill without Ryan Ellis. And the Sharks top line fully correlates. I think you can go to the Sharks top line. I like the Sharks second line too. Eklund, Hertl, LeBanc. My feelings on LeBanc, but at that price with those line mates, I think it's perfectly acceptable. The Preds side, I like the Preds top line. I just don't know if I want to pay the price. Forsberg 7,100 is fine. Like he's a good player. Johansson back up to 5,400 where I have issues. Him and if I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like you see these prices on the players, but if Duchesne and Johansson's price flopped, swapped, I'd have less of a problem stacking them. Just like a mental block, like clicking in 5,400 Ryan Johansson. They had a great game last game, so I think you can do it. There's 5, 6, 7%, 3.1 total at home. So yeah, Preds 1 in play for me. I like Preds 2 as well, especially Granlund, Tolvanen together. Tolvanen's shot rate has been great so far this year. Is 3,800 power play 2. I feel like this is going to be one of the higher scoring games on the slate, and there is not much ownership here. So if I was MMEing, I would have I'd be over the field on both sides of this game.
Yeah, I really do like that San Jose top line, but I want to talk about the San Jose second line real quick. Actually, I specifically want to talk about Thomas Hertl, because Hertl was one of the guys last year who went public with how hard it was to deal with COVID, because he got COVID and he dealt with the symptoms for months afterward. And I'm wondering just what kind of shape he's even in right now, right? Because like if he had a tough time training during the summer, is he even in his normal physical condition right now? And you look at the line's numbers, like you're right, that Dollar Couture Meyer line, great. 61% expected goal share. They're one of the best lines in hockey right now. The rest of the lineup sucks.
Yeah.
Nieto, Bonino, LeBanc, 37% expected goal share. Balsers, Hertl, Eklund, 35%. Fourth line, 16%. Like, this is a one-line team. So I really like the Nashville second line today. And they're not a line that I generally like, but Michael Granlund, he's getting top power play minutes. Somehow he's still getting 20 minutes a night. Like Michael Granlund is literally playing 20 minutes a night. He's not shooting a lot, which is why he's not like a cash game lock or anything like that. But he's playing 20 minutes a night and he's getting top power play minutes. And then Eeli Tolvanen is just absolutely shooting the lights out. He's shooting the puck every time it touches his stick. So yeah, give me those two guys going into the depth of San Jose, which have just been floated by PDO this year, not by good play. So I do like San Jose 1 and their price and their spot here tonight, but I also do like Nashville 2, and Nashville 2 is going to end up being one of my filler lines here tonight. The one thing that concerns me about this game, and it's something that's keeping me off of Brent Burns especially, so let's talk about the defenseman, is that neither team is really taking a lot of penalties so far this year. Roman Josi went absolutely nuclear in his last game. He's done that a couple times already this year, I believe. Brent Burns is kind of turning into a block shot machine. Like he's not really shooting the puck as he has in the past. So what do you like about the defense here?
Yeah, I think, if you're using San Jose 1, you can put in Brett Burns, but like you said, not many penalties. Same with Josi, using, Nashville 1 or 2, you can put in Josi. You can one off Josi. He's going to be pretty high owned, especially coming off a monster game. I like Mario Ferraro here at 3,200. Not much else on the Nashville side. It's like Josi just plays 45 minutes, it feels like, and everyone else plays like 9. So it's really just like Josi for me on Nashville side. I like a Ferraro and Burns on the Sharks side. It's weird not even mentioning Erik Karlsson, but I don't have any interest in playing him.
I'll give Karlsson some credit. He's looked better this year than he has last year. Looks like a little bit more himself, but where he's stapled to that second power play unit, and I don't think Hertl and those guys have looked real good so far. I'm with you out on Karlsson. Mario Ferraro 3,200 for all that ice time. I think that's just fine. What do you think about James Reimer 7,300 on the road?
First, I was like, oh, maybe I'll consider it, but then I realized it's James Reimer and the Sharks are terrible. But he's going to see the volume, so it's like one of those spots like in GBPs, like I need a cheap volume guy. Like Reimer's going to see volume, so I think in Sharks lineups, I think you can put in Reimer. I don't think I would one off him tonight. There's others around the price that I'd rather play.
All right, Josh, have you ever wondered how you can become part of the Awesemo Hall of Fame?
Every night. Every night.
Is that what you were thinking of last night while you couldn't sleep?
Yeah. How to get in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm going to tell you how you can get in, Josh. What you need to do is download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants. tweet the wins to Awesemo Hoff account, and you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. We have some of the wins coming up on the screen here. We have Big Daddy. We talked about him. He had a monster chop for first place, 5 figures. We talked earlier about Robbie placing first in NFL Showdown last night. I don't think, it wasn't the monster over on FanDuel, but he still took down 4 figures. You have Praz Racing for getting into some NBA here. We have guys winning 6 figures. We have guys winning hundreds of dollars, and we celebrate them all the same. So if you want to get into Awesemo Hall of Fame, download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 contestants, and then just tweet the wins to the Awesemo Hoff account. You can only win once per calendar year. So even if you go on a little heater here, you can't keep winning month after month after month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You probably won't need it if you're winning that much money either. So go ahead and try to get in the Awesemo Hall of Fame, and try to do it a little bit responsibly, everybody. All right, let's get to the next game. We have the Minnesota Wild with a 2.9 implied goal total going into Vancouver. The Vancouver Canucks have a 2.7 implied goal total. The news here is Vancouver completely changed their lines around. They left Pearson, Horvat, and Garland together, but now Vasily Podkolzin is playing with JT Miller and Brock Besser. Elias Pettersson is down on what I guess is the 3rd line now with Jason Highmore and Nils Hoglander. They've also moved Alex Chason up to the top power play unit and Brock Besser to the 2nd power play unit, and that means the Vancouver Canucks now have 1 forward on each of their 4 even strength lines on the top power play unit. There is absolutely no correlation to be found whatsoever. I wrote about the Minnesota top line for my power play stacks earlier today. Now that Vancouver's just completely throwing away all their lines, I like the Minnesota top line even more here. Why don't you talk about Minnesota a little bit and then hop on over to Vancouver?
Yeah, the Wild are kind of like a one-line team. Is there any better player than Kevin Fiala who has worse line mates in the NHL? Like Freddie Gaudreau and Victor Rask? Like, throw the man a bone here. He's on an island here. But the top line of Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Zuccarello, fully correlated power play 1. Canucks, not great defensively. Canucks, not great on the penalty kill. Canucks, just not a great team. So 2.9 kind of feels a bit low, and it's on the road. If they're at home, their total will probably be like 3.2, 3.3. But their ownership's in check here. It's just because, I think people are just going to gravitate towards, Colorado 1 with the expensive lines. But if you're making lineups here, more than, even in 3 to 5 lineups, I would definitely consider Minnesota Wild 1. Even if I was making 1 lineup, I'd consider, you'd have to make the choice to fade Colorado 1, which is a difficult choice. But if I were to fade Colorado 1 in my 1 lineup, I would probably have Minnesota 1 here. They're coming in, 4, 5, 6%, which is completely reasonable against the team that just isn't great. Paying $6,500 for Zuccarello feels a bit bad, but the Canucks just going galaxy brain here with their lines. So this is a great spot. Joel Eriksson Ek on the top line is much better than Joel Eriksson Ek on the 3rd line. This is one of my favorite spots of the night. And then on the Canucks side, I just don't know what they're doing. I'm not going to pretend like I know what they're doing, but if I was going to full stack a line, it would be that Horvat line. Horvat's super cheap, 4,400. I like Connor Garland. He is a bit pricey at 6,100, and Tanner Pearson, 3,000. It's okay. That second line now is nice, but their power play correlation is terrible, and they're 3 wings. So unless you want to get creative, with a 2 center lineup, it's hard to play full Canucks 2. And then, Elias Pettersson and Niels Hoglander is a nice duo, but they don't have great power play correlation. This, it's just tough to full stack anything from the Canucks. I probably, pick and choose a couple one-offs, like a one-off Bo Horvat, JT Miller, just because he's going to be super low owned tonight. JT Miller, since coming to the Canucks, has been very, very good. So how much Alex Chiasson you got tonight?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question, right? Yeah. Is how much Alex Chiasson should we have? Yeah. I was high on Vancouver. I wanted to power play stack them today. you can't do anything with this. Like you said, like maybe you can do a 2-man mini of like Horvat Pearson or something like that. Like I want to talk about a few of these players, like Vasily Podkolzin. It depends who you talk to. If you talk to a Vancouver Canucks fan, he's the next Pavel Bure. If you talk to anybody else, he sucks. Like that's just like there's not a single prospect writer I follow that says this guy's going to be a star. Like it's just Vancouver that thinks that. So why he's on the top line, I don't know. So I'm out on the Miller Besser line. I did write up Besser in my Power Plays article for this reason. He's considerably cheaper on DK than he is on FanDuel. FanDuel has him priced as a top 10 winger. On DK, he's more like top 20. So that pricing discrepancy makes it a little bit more tolerable. But this is just like Vancouver's looked awful. And I know I just talked about Tomas Hertl and his COVID problems. Like Vancouver had the worst run of COVID of any team last year. So, you know, they even have one player that's not even playing this year because he's a long hauler. Like, is this team even back to full strength? So I'm with you. Like I might one-off Besser. You know, Horvat, of course, is fine for 4,400, but I'm not full stacking anything from Vancouver. Definitely not with these lines. I'm with you on Minnesota. Absolutely love that top line. Eriksson Ek, Zuccarello, Kaprizov. They're going to be heavily owned for me. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing on Vancouver that scares me for any matching or anything. Like Demko is the only thing that honestly scares me on the Vancouver side. I also like, you know, playing Spurgeon. I don't even mind him as a one-off because he's a guy that can score goals, right? Like he's typically a guy that finishes in the double digits for goals. So he can go out and get a goal and an assist while Minnesota wins 3-1 or something like that. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily have to play Spurgeon. Kevin Fiala one-off, also wrote about him. I like him as a one-off. Who do you like on the blue line here?
Yeah, I agree with the Spurgeon take. On the, you know, Dumba 6,200 on DraftKings is a little bit wonky. Goligoski, not the worst one-off. On the Vancouver side, I'm going to take a pass on the Vancouver defenseman. I like Quinn Hughes, like in power play stacks, but like, how can you even power play stack the Canucks tonight and feel good about it?
I don't know. Like, it feels like one of those nights where everybody's going to say, oh, screw it, I'm not going to play Vancouver now. And then they, for some reason, you know, Podkolzin's going to have like 4 goals or something like that. And I'm going to look like an idiot. But I don't see anything positive anywhere. Like even they left the Horvat Garland line together. They just even haven't even been good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I thought that'd be a line that'd be broken up by now. But you know, anyways, we do have to move it along. Let's get to our next game. Winnipeg 3.0, Anaheim 2.6. They are playing in Anaheim. Doesn't look like Winnipeg's going to have Scheifele and Wheeler back. They may not even have their general manager. We'll see how that goes. I'm getting to a lot of Anaheim in my stacks. We had people talking about Trevor Zegras earlier in our Discord. Just as a stack, as a line, you know, the top line is 13,100 from Anaheim, and that, you know, that grades out as at $1 per point. $1 per point as one of the better values for me amongst top lines. So I like Anaheim one automatically here. The Ehlers line looks like it's going to carry a lot of ownership tonight. So how are you going to manage that one?
Yeah. Man, I like that Ehlers line though, man, but they're going to be super high owned. I think the way I'm going to deal with it is just play them. like Colorado won, right? They're super expensive. You know, they're going to be high owned, but they're in a great spot. The same thing can be said here. Like they fully correlate on the power play. They're getting a Ducks team that they're rebuilding. They're going to have their moments, but they're really not a great team. So I think, you know, if you're trying to jam Colorado with Winnipeg here, just be careful that you're not going to dupe yourself here. But I really do like that Cop Ehlers Stastny line. I also don't mind the top line. It's in the lineup builder as Winnipeg one, Connor Dubois, Svechnikov. I'm more leaning towards, you know, just like a Dubois here or Dubois Con or something like that. I know they don't correlate on the power play here, but they're going to be well lower owned than that Cops Ehlers Stastny line. And then the Duck side, I think, you know, I wish Maxime Comtois was on the top line instead of Henrique. that would make me feel a little bit better about using them. But you can definitely use the Ducks top line here. I think you can put, take Henrique out, put Comtois in for power play one. My boy, actually Niehouse's boy, Big Dick Rick Raquel, he's going to be a popular spot tonight. He's been playing great. He's one of my favorite one-offs tonight. If you don't want to full stack the Ducks top line, you can do Zegras, Raquel, two-man, something like that. But I don't mind adding in Comtois over Henrique and getting a three-man power play stack just because the Jets penalty kill, not super great. It is Connor Hellebuck, one of the best goalies in the league, but hard to be great when you're taking a lot of penalties. So I don't mind the Ducks top line.
Yeah, I will say, along with the Yanni Gord line that we're going to talk about next, that Ducks top line, it looks like it's going to be one of the more popular filler lines in here tonight. So you might have to get a little bit unique, maybe throw in a defenseman, take a winger off, and throw in a different winger from a different power play unit or something like that. But I do like that Anaheim line. I hate to say it, but I kind of like the chalk in this game, like Anaheim top line and that Stasny line as well. Like, I'm not like, I like Dubois. I'm just not big on his role and the role of his line mates. I think I can get unique enough elsewhere in the lineup that I have no problem playing Winnipeg. And like, just to say that Anaheim line's been good. 54% expected goal share on that team. That's really good. So it's not like Anaheim's just some bad line that's cheap. Like, they've actually been playing well. Like you said, you can throw in a Comtois or something like that and just get a little bit different. On the blue line real quick, obviously Jamie Drysdale, Neil Pionk, if you're correlating, is there anybody else that sticks out?
Not particular. I mean, Brendan Dillon, min price for the minutes he get is fine. I wish your boy Cam Fowler was also on the top power play unit, but it is what it is. Josh Manson, 2,700, not a bad one off either.
Yeah, I do like Brendan Dillon min price. That's a good call right there. We just have one more game to get to before we get out of here. If you guys could drop us a like, throw us a subscribe. The subscription especially really helps us grow this channel. We're approaching 65,000. And if you hate what we do at any time, you can just click the unsubscribe button. But we think that you're going to really appreciate all our shows. So please click that subscribe little button below the video. And upcoming on the channel next, we have PGA Strategy at 5 Eastern with Eric and Jason. And then we have you covered for NBA. We have the deeper dive with Laffy and Ship My Money at 6:30 Eastern. And then that'll be followed with Eric and Greg doing our NBA live before lock. So PGA and NBA on the docket for the rest of the night. All right. Got a couple minutes left. Let's get to this last game. We have the Montreal Canadiens with a 2.7 implied goal total going into Seattle. The Seattle Kraken have a 2.9 implied goal total. As I mentioned, Seattle looks like it's going to have one of the more popular filler lines of the night. Gord, Schwartz, and Yard Kroc. Under 10K on DraftKings. We have them at like 14% owned, though, which is really, really high for a filler. But they should play a lot of minutes. Yanni Gord's been playing 22 minutes a night. The McCann, Eberle, Wenberg line, $4,000 more expensive, but much more reasonable for ownership. And then the Montreal side. What do you have here, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I do really like that top line for Seattle. I think you can, mix it up a little bit, because Gord, Schwartz are going to be pretty popular. You want to add in an extra power play, one guy, throw in an Eberle, throw in a McCann. I think that's fine. If you want a full stock, just be aware of what you're doing. If it comes together too easily, it might be duped, but it is what it is. You got to just think about it for a second. I do like that second line. I'm not a huge Wenberg guy, but I think you can full stack this line. The power play, McCann, Eberle on the top power play. You could probably do worse than Wenberg tonight at center, so I don't mind throwing him in. On the Montreal side, it's just, I don't know. They've been so bad. I know they won their last game. It's just, they have not been good. I mean, if you want to do I think, again, I'm going to be like a broken record. The line I want to use in this game is the Dvorak line. But other than that, I don't think I'd full stack anyone. Maybe I'd have a two-man of Suzuki Gallagher or, Toffoli Caulfield, something like that. But I'm going to be light on Montreal tonight outside of, maybe doing the occasional Montreal two stack.
Yeah. I've noticed that Toffoli and Caulfield have a decent number of minutes together going back to last year, and they've been terrible together. So I like the Montreal Dvorak line. They've been playing really well together, reasonably priced. We have them at fairly low ownership, like 1% to 2%. So that Montreal Dvorak line is going to be one of my favorite filler lines on the night. Real quick on the blue line, Jeff Petrie, super cheap like him. Anybody else stick out to you on the blue line?
Contractually obligated to mention the big rig, Jamie Alexiak at 2,800. Other than that, not really.
All right. Favorite goalies on the slate. I will say I do like Nico Dawes for those that are not playing Calgary. I do like Thatcher Demko quite a bit though.
I do like Demko as well. If you want to get spicy and you're fading Colorado, Leonard at his price, I think don't go crazy, but one or two here and there could pay off.
And for your hat trick, because my hat trick guy is Eli Tolvanen.
I'm going Nikolai Ehlers.
All right. Nikolai Ehlers, Eli Tolvanen are your hat trick picks for tonight. All right. We're going to get out of here. For producer Tyler, for Josh Harris, I'm Mike Clifford saying stick around. We got PGA coming up in a couple hours, but we have NHL coming back tomorrow.